Good evening and welcome to the August 10th, 2026 regular meeting of the Hillsborough Town Board of Commissioners. The public charge is printed in the agenda this evening. I will not read it out loud, but it discusses our commitment to decorum in public meetings. Sarah, are there any audience members signed up? No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Okay, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on to item number 4, appointments. This evening we have a reappointment of David Blankfard as the town regular member to the Board of Adjustment for a term ending September 30th, 2029. And the second item is a resolution requesting the Orange County Board of Commissioners reappoint Richard Chappell to the Board of Adjustment as an extraterritorial jurisdiction regular member.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. And on to item number 5, the consent agenda for this evening. Is there a motion?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that very quickly takes us to the regular agenda for this evening. The first item is fiscal year 2026 strategic plan annual report and proposed fiscal year 28-30 strategic plan process with Administrative Services Director Ben Belva.
Good evening. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started with the 26th annual report, and then we'll move on to the update for the FY 28 through 30 strategic planning process and open it up for feedback. But if you have any questions as we go along on the annual report, feel free to jump in. The way I broke out the PowerPoint was to go focus area by focus area as we normally do. And the slides have the various initiatives, a summary of where we ended in the fiscal year with the particular initiative, as well as a quick visual red, yellow, green to quickly denote kind of where we felt we are with the particular initiative. So if you all are okay with that, we'll just proceed in that form. All right, so we'll start off with the sustainability focus area. Were there any questions for initiatives 1.1 through 2.4?
Actually, I do have a question, but second.
Yeah.
I did not find that by one.
No worries.
As part of the UDO, because are we taking a look at housing code? Because I saw that Durham was able to make changes to strengthen minimum housing. Can we do the same? Because we have an issue in places with what passes for code is, I'm sorry, not habitable.
Yeah.
Have we taken a look at that within the DDO, and can we strengthen? And I know there are limitations with state law, but within our ability, can we and have we?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Matt to see if he has further comments.
Yes, ma'am. So our minimum housing code is not actually part of the UDO. It's a separate part of our code of ordinances. We did a group of updates last year. We're actually going to talk at the work session in 2 weeks about some minimum housing code cases. And that'll be a good time to talk with Shannon about additional updates you all would like to see, but it's not part of the UDO process.
Okay, thank you. But thank you for already thinking ahead on that one.
Other questions on this slide? I'm not seeing any. Move to the next one. Any on the initiatives on this slide? I'll give you a second to look through it if you need. All right.
If you could just give me.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Help me remember for the tree preservation policy, would that be townwide?
That was for the town owned
Just for the
and
town home?
town maintained trees.
I actually do have a question, but I'm not sure when the best. What the best venue is to ask. Because in, Hillsborough Heights. Of the trees. I know I was named a tree steward for one of the trees that has no hope for survival because it was planted too close to. It's a magnolia that was planted way too close to, I think it was a maple and it's a, mulberry or another, one of the very, anyway, it has no hope.
Hmm.
It is older than my magnolia. My magnolia is probably 2 times plus the size because it doesn't get sunlight. I know, I don't even know how to. I know periodically I will raise this and you're probably the best person, but it either needs to be moved, cut down, because the poor thing has no hope for survival. And I'm still rather astounded of if you plant it, why the heck do you plant it so close to a big spread tree? Because it's a top canopy tree, not an understory tree.
Is it in the right away?
No, it's in the
Park?
it's the park. It's in,
Like a Stephanie question.
no. It's in the park, but this predates Stephanie when we employed Margaret. And I don't remember the other Margaret's last name.
Shocker.
Shucker, thank you. It's like, I knew it started with an S.
Yeah.
Cause she named me tree steward. I'm like, I would love to, but it ain't getting no sun and I can't fix that.
We'll appreciate you raising that. I see Matt taking a note, so we'll make sure to pass that along and
It's either
circle back.
just give it a nice depth, to transplant it, it'd have to be. But it ain't got no hope for survival.
Thank you, Kathleen. Jackie?
Hop back one slide. to
Yeah.
the floor real quick.
Uh-huh.
Essentially what we're talking about, electrifying our fleet. And then there's a comment in there about one hybrid vehicle. So I guess my question is, are we looking to at some point be fully electrified or are we transitioning with hybrid?
Yeah, so I think we haven't really wanted to be on the front lines of testing electric vehicles. So we've been with the transitioning to the hybrid police vehicles, and I know our fleet staff has also been attending conferences and kind of seeing what vehicles are out there as far as electric options, talking to people. But at this time felt like we weren't at the position to start that process yet, but has been trying to stay in the loop and kind of understand the fields more on electric vehicles.
And if I remember correctly, part of it also is because a significant amount of our fleet involves police vehicles that are take home. How do you
Right.
manage that piece? And I remember that being
Yeah.
like the really sticky wicket.
Yeah, there's definitely the infrastructure, the charging infrastructure component, and kind of what do we have available in town? What do the officers have that would be needed in how at their house? So there's definitely a lot of different components to that electric conversion process.
Something that seems really simple, but suddenly has a lot of, infrastructure potentially that an officer would have to have at home. And how do you compensate for that, literally and figuratively?
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything on this slide? All right, so we'll move on to connected community, and we only have 2 initiatives here.
So I have a question with 1.2 and I'm trying to, I think I understand it, but how is it connected to the multimodal network? And where I think it is, if we're trying to. I'm trying to understand how the art,
How how it fits into connected community as a focus area? Is that what you were?
Specific advancing multimodal network that reduces single occupancy vehicles and links over residents to key places and other. And so I get that it links to key places, but my disconnect is how does it advance multimodal network?
So I think it was, and I'll have to go back to see how it was connected, but the thought of how it fits in was the creating opportunities to bring people together in the connected aspect of things, but not necessarily the multimodal perspective, but it might be a component of like, you know, those multimodal features that would have public art, but more so just gathering community and in terms of those like spontaneous interactions, bringing people together.
So I would imagine that 1.2 would connect with 1.3 in the sense that when we do have Bridge Walk, there might be ways of incorporating the public art. And then also the same with the train station, like
Yep.
not letting those opportunities when we're already going to invest a lot of infrastructure to be wasted by not utilizing those spaces for art. Is that kind of the thought process?
That's what I recall.
Okay.
I'm not saying this as, I'm not saying to use the community center as the first time to do this. But this is one of the perfect projects that every place else is funded by private money, not, government contributes, but it's leverage at best. Not solely, we continue to be footing a lot of the bills and not getting private funds and philanthropy. Like I said, I support this for the community center, but I want to start seeing this is a community value. We need to see private money donations for these kinds of things because of to me, we're at the point, we've got so much. It continues where just getting things done requires our budget.
Right, definitely strained.
It's very strange, but it's a community value. This is when we need the community to step up.
Thanks for.
The Ridge Walk is another opportunity where, again, any place else, you're gonna get philanthropic dollars. And I haven't seen anybody. We have an entire community that's excited about it. But I haven't seen anyone that's so excited they're willing to actually contribute beyond their tax dollars.
And I believe for Ridge Walk, that was gonna be a component of something of us that would be assessed down the line when we get to that point.
We're not there yet.
I know we're
We
not,
don't have a design, we don't have an alignment.
no, I know,
Train
I know
station
that,
worked out.
but I'm putting the word out because this is a long term, and even with philanthropic dollars, when families are considering who they want to, where they want their legacy to be, and they're planning for that legacy. And this is Ridge Walk, and some of these things are perfect legacy projects for philanthropic dollars. So I want to start planting those seeds, because when we start to make, when we have these decisions to make, and especially as budgeting goes, once that budget hit, it's too late to ask. So I am putting out the plea early for the community. These are values, but the values need to be supported with dollars.
Thanks for that reminder. Economic vitality. There will be another slide for that one, but any on these initiatives? All right, not seeing any.
Actually, I do
All right.
one question, 1.4. And
That Hillsborough magazine? What magazine?
I think it's, I might have had it in the full report, but I think it's a Chapel Hill,
Best of Chapel Hill.
Best of Chapel Hill magazine. That's right.
I'm sorry, that wasn't. That's not what it was.
I think curious, so who's our target? By placing it in Chapel Hill, who's our target?
I think the thought is to try to attract people to come to our Hillsborough, restaurant scene, business scene. And so when they see the ad, it'll encourage them to come and take a visit.
Day tripper type of.
Yes. Mhm. Exactly.
What, did we look at Durham? Because that's a bigger market and still close by.
I'm not sure. Do you know? We'll make a note of that as well.
Shannon could answer. She's not here.
We have a tourism meeting on Wednesday, so
Hmm.
ask her. That would be out of that budget that we get
Yeah,
every meeting, but. Stop.
Thank you. That'd be great.
all right.
Oh, here's some 200. So has there been any more talk or discussion about, coordinating with the chamber to develop an entrepreneurial center on the second floor?
Yes, and I got invited to a ribbon cutting in September, I think. Yeah, and the plan, yeah, I was impressed with the plan, and I think PHE is funding most of it. And it looked, yeah, it's exciting, so, look out for invitation from Scott. But to everybody.
Awesome. Thanks for that inside scoop.
And thank you, PHE. That's what we're talking about. They deserve actually, big picture, they deserve a huge shout out.
Yeah.
Because they are true community investors, not only this, but the Habitat House, they fund a bunch of community things. They contribute to, in a variety of areas, year after year after year.
Yeah, I think we could identify those two Hillsborough businesses that have been supporters of the town for years. They did come up with their place to be targeted.
This is the last group for economic vitality.
The NLC webinar on the road is tomorrow. Or 21st century, since they combine the names.
Road 21st century or something. like
Yeah,
that.
because they were,
It just things got like clunky the way they.
well, that's
merged
because
the
they had the
titles.
road in the 21st century and said, here, we'll just throw it together and it'll become one. No one will notice.
As we've made it a quarter of the way through the 21st century.
All right, not seeing anything here. We'll move on to community safety. I see that Marshall's in the back and Chief Wynn's here too, if there's any questions.
So how did the police program, how did it fare out? Like,
Yeah,
what was the response?
I've heard good things, but
I saw the pictures of the folks.
From the Police Academy, we had a great reception to that. I think we had roughly 14 attendees or participants that went through, was it 4 or 5 weeks? Got a lot of great feedback, especially for the first time doing it in a long time. And some of the stuff that they liked from it, like some great feedback we got was the hands-on exercises they got to do with CID investigations. So we're gonna try to re-implement that again at Government 101. So people have something to look forward to that.
did they do, because I know the first time around, in addition to fingerprinting, they got to cast,
We didn't do
Kind of like-
those. You have to have the right type of terrain to do it on, to fill in the, you know, especially if it's too hard, but they did have where they got to do, they did fingerprint lifting, but on certain types of items and stuff that they could take home with them. They really appreciated that. But yeah, people already asking about next year. And someone else asked if we were gonna do it again this year. But I think one a year right now is a good start. But it was really good turnout, good reception.
Cool, because I know I did it twice and it was just way wicked fun.
It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Did they do the ride-alongs?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong now.
Oh, man.
Oh, wait. That's scheduled for afterwards.
Okay,
Once the academy completed, then they were able to come link up with the police department and schedule that.
and I still have to follow up with you because it's about time for me to.
Let me know.
I will. Don't worry, it'll be the quietest night that will ever.
I'll ask the officers who wants a relaxing evening.
It'll happen countywide. That's what's happened every time. Nothing.
Great.
Next,
All right, so,
Can I pop back to?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Which one?
To economic vitality.
Yes. The translation one.
Yeah, so, we're talking about translating business documents and forms to, other relevant languages, set up a system for staff to be able to communicate in other languages. So, I'm interested in if we're utilizing, or we have any interest in utilizing plain language for really our public facing documents to make them easier for people to understand and, so that's the only thing with that. I know this is more language translation. But do you know if comms is talked about?
Yeah, and I haven't seen Cheryl's face, but I'm sure she's smiling back there because communications has been all about making things more about plain language, whether that's in news releases or documents that we put out, really trying to make it easier to understand. I think our standard now is 4th grade reading level, trying to get it down at that level, or get it to that level. And there's been different trainings that have been offered that our communications team has gone through, and some of our other staff as well. So
Right.
it's definitely something that's been a focus for us. And
That's what I just need to hear. Thank you.
yeah, of course.
You got Chair.
Not seeing anything here either. So what we'll do is, you all had approved extending our strategic plan to FY 27. As you can see, some of the things we weren't able to accomplish, some of the things we'll want to carry over to the current fiscal year, either things that we're already doing because we're already into the new fiscal year, but also we'll work to keep trying to make progress on the initiatives that we weren't able to accomplish, and we'll come back to you all and provide a end of strategic plan update, because that'll be our 4th and final year of this current iterations plan. Yeah, we're in our fourth year of our plan. So that's exciting news, and appreciate all the support that has been provided in supporting this work. So with that, I will turn it over to our next planning process and sharing an update on our FY 28 through 30 planning process. Cheryl will be joining me in a few slides to talk about the engagement side of the house. But it's something that we've been working on for the past few months already. And so we're excited to share what we've been up to and get your feedback, because it's been really exciting getting to work on it and talking to the team about it. So excited to share that with you tonight. All right, so I know you all have been involved in our current strategic plan now for a few years, but just wanted to revisit why we do a strategic plan, and also for those who may be watching online to just share a little bit about the purpose of having the strategic plan. this, having a strategic plan really helps establish a clear direction for the next 3 years. So it provides that roadmap for where we want to go and how we intend to get there. And so it lays all those things out in to a clear plan. It helps us to align the services that we provide, the resources that we have, and how we choose to expend those resources, and aligns those operations to help us achieve those overarching goals that you all set. And really, the strategic plan helps us be responsive to what the community and the organizational needs are. And so it's really rooted in listening to our internal partner, our stakeholders, our external ones as well. And so we'll go through a bit about who will be involved, or who we see as being involved as part of the process, but really rooted in listening to help us identify those needs. And then it helps us improve our transparency, establish kind of what the performance is that we're trying to achieve, and helps us be accountable by coming back and sharing the progress that we've made in terms of the plan that has been established. So this is what we see as the strategic plan structure. At the top, you see the vision, mission, and values. And then the focus area below that. So that is really the overarching kind of direction that we see is through the focus area. The objectives share that desired outcome. The SMART goals, that darker blue, is a new component that we see for this strategic plan. Our current one kind of goes from objective to initiative, but we want to add the goal section, which really helps set that specific target or measure that we're trying to, that allows us to connect the objective to the initiative.
I thought we've been doing that all along, because we can't do anything without a SMART goal. It just, you can't do it. You can't manage to it.
So we've had the objective, which is kind of the higher level order, and then it jumps to initiative. So we haven't had that intermediary one up until this point.
Okay, because I didn't know that when we look at things, we always were looking at what, by when, how. I mean, all within a SMART goal framework, because without a SMART goal, there's nothing to manage against.
So that'll hopefully be an improvement for this time around. I know the first round, it was our first time going through the process. We were still kind of getting our feet wet into the strategic planning. So we're seeing this as kind of an evolution, a way of getting at that point. And so then it'll go down to the initiative, which are those specific action items that we always provide those updates on every quarter. So as far as who we see as being part of the process, we see it as a really robust, engagement approach. So we'll have our internal groups, which consist of our internal core team. And then I'll get into in the next slide kind of what the different groups for the internal ones will do. And then the steering committee, which is a larger group that provides more higher level direction to the core team. Our focus area work groups, and you all as our elected officials kind of rounding out that internal group to help us develop the plan. Then we'll want to definitely engage our external groups, the community. Cheryl will talk a bit more about those pieces to engage our external partners, the nonprofit and business community, as well as other partners that we work with. So just specifically looking at our internal group, our core team consists of myself, the budget team, and communications. We've had about 7 meetings so far to really start the planning process. What this group does is really providing that project leadership, ensuring that we're staying on our timelines, meeting our goals, producing the drafts of things, which then goes to the steering committee, which is our ops team, our operations team, which is kind of a cross departmental group of key leaders within our organization. And so what they're doing is providing us that high level guidance, making sure that we're staying on the path that we need to, reviewing some of those major deliverables, ensuring that there is alignment across all of our departments, because it consists of representatives from all of our departments, and then really being champions for engagement and helping us guide us through the process. And then finally, we have our focus area work groups. So these are the subject matter experts that will be engaging. That'll be later, early next calendar year, to really do the job of developing the draft plan. And so taking the feedback that has been shared by those stakeholders and going through and refining the objectives and the initiatives, the SMART goals that will then come together to form the draft plan. So this is our planning timeline. It consists of 8 different phases. We're already into phase 2 and almost done with it. So yeah, we've accomplished a lot in the last couple months, which is really exciting. We've formed our teams, created our draft plan scope and outreach plan. And so next we'll be moving into the data collection piece, where we're engaging with the community and the businesses and nonprofits. And we'll then in November to December come back to you all at a work session. So that's one of the things that we'll send out later, is to just ensure that we'll have be able to have quorum at the November work session. So that's when we are hoping to have our vision, mission, and values discussion to really reaffirm either what we have or kind of discuss whether you all want to kind of update or refine what we have as our vision, mission, values for our current plan. And by then we should have the feedback that we've received from everyone. So we'll be able to share that information with you all at that time to help you kind of digest that and determine if we need to refine it further. And then in January, February, we'll then get into the goal setting. So that's when the internal focus area work groups will be meeting to establish fill out the focus area kind of work plans. And then coming up with a draft strategic plan in the March to April timeframe. And then we'll want to make sure that once we have that draft plan, to go back and do some more engagement to ensure that we got it correct. Feel like see if people have any additional insight or comments, feedback to share. And then looking to hopefully have an adoption of the next plan at the June regular meeting to coincide with budget adoption. And so
several years ago, and this was before I was on the board, when Margaret convened, it was like 100 people that to collect community ideas. I was actually part of that, but I thought it was a really cool exercise because it was easily 100 people in one room from across the community to that regenerating ideas and priorities before the plan was put together. And so the plan, when it went to the community in that point where here's a plan, here's your feedback, it was enriched by the work that was done by getting that feedback up front. Have we considered doing something similar? Are we getting it in other ways? And how are we getting that broad-based community feedback before the plan is put together?
Yeah.
So it's not a case of commenting on what's not being reactive, but more proactive.
right, definitely. That's a great question. So what and I know Cheryl will talk a little bit about it in the next slides, but with the community survey, it was kind of great timing that we ended up delaying that after Chantal to this year, because then that made us think, well, like that is a great way to capture a representative sample or a representative group of the Hillsborough community. We're still at the threshold where we can send it to every household in Hillsborough, which is great because a lot of times as you get larger, you have to move to a sample size as opposed to every single person getting it. So we are still in that threshold where we could still send it out to everyone. And so everyone will have an opportunity to share their thoughts and perspectives. And so the way the strategic plan section of the survey was framed was really getting a sense for asking how we're doing in terms of meeting the objectives from our current plan, to see, like, are those things that are still important to people? Are there other things that maybe we didn't capture the first time that we really should be thinking about that are within our scope? And
That's already, you're already primed people to react to what you've set the boundaries for. So there, unless someone's got a super burning beef or a super burning passion, they're not likely to stray outside the bounds of what we've already set.
mhm.
And that's kind of the beauty of some of these more free form, I don't know if you call it a charrette, I don't know what, but generating input that's not already pre-bound by what we think and mining what the community thinks.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, I kind of think that we have several years of benchmark community surveys of how people feel about, especially the services and initiatives that we have, and we're about to do another one that I think kind of, I don't want to say gets us to what you're talking about,
It's still,
but it's still a huge amount of data that would probably be a lot more indicative than, an in-person.
it is good data, but it's still bound and to a certain extent self-referential because we ask the same questions over and over again. So all it is repeating the same boundaries. So you don't, unless you've got a burning beef or a burning passion, because it's how our brains work, you react within those boundaries. It's a lot different when you get people of different thing that you've never, I won't say they never met, although in my experience that there were a lot of people that had never met. And they start riffing off of one another. It's just an enriched ideation. And you get more of a community feel than an echo chamber or a little bit broader. And we've got while we're still early enough in the process, think about how do we really get more instead of being self-referential or the same questions, which elicits the same similar, but we don't know what we're missing by asking the same questions over and over again. We get really good benchmarks, but it is self-referential.
Point well taken. I think Cheryl's itching to say something to you because
So I want to clarify that in addition to the benchmark and the community survey questions that pretty much stay the same from time to time so that we compare them whether they're benchmarked or not, we have added additional strategic plan focused questions to this community survey. And some of them are open-ended questions to get at new ideas, to invite people to share new ideas and what's on their mind. What are they thinking about? What do they think Hillsborough needs in that I think we asked it for the mid-range term. So it's not just the same questions over and over again. I love in-person events too. I'm not speaking to Spike, but I love in-person events too.
Logistically.
Actually, it's not that much I don't think it's that much of a pain. We can pretty much use this space or borrow the county's larger space pretty easily. But what do you do when then what do you do with the information when like a whole group of people from one area come because they're like, wow, if we go today, they're going to build a sidewalk in it's not necessarily in my I'm not saying we shouldn't do them. I think we should do more in person. But what you gather from there, from an in-person open ideas meeting might not be representative of the town as a whole. You kind of get a group that will come out with their
That's where,
excitement about something.
I hear what you're saying, but that's where it's very skilled on partial invited and partial open-ended, so the other part of it is it's structured, you know, to a certain extent, it's structured to at least have a voice in different areas. You know, on top of just, you know, open and walk in, because you're right, people, it's the same thing, a big beef or hot passion. In terms of people that get engaged. But you do get, when it's framed as ideation and framed, because, and I'm pulling back the memories of when we were brought in, there were certain topics and certain questions, still fairly open-ended, and there was no, you know, the floor, if you will, is, this does not mean your idea is going to be, you know, we have budget, we have time.
Sure.
What this does mean is that we do want to take the pulse out of this and elicit what we don't know. And I think we got, I mean, what I remember coming out was every idea, of course not. But my goodness, I remember talking to Margaret, and just what came out was so much more enriched.
Seems like it was a really good experience.
It really was. And the mixture of groups, because it wasn't the same old, yeah, I mean, yes, there were certain, it's like the same people you see, but there was a lot of people that, you know, that was the first, probably one of the first events I'd been had ever participated in. And I think I was partially voluntold as much as I was volunteering.
Thanks for sharing that experience. I'll let you finish up your slides.
Yeah, and I know Cheryl will also get into a little bit more about like what we see at what we're seeing as that engagement strategy. So hopefully as we get into some more of the weeds and details, that'll help paint the picture a little bit clearer. Anything else on the timeline? So also just wanted to say that a lot of times towns will hire consultants to guide them through this process. We reached out to you know, or an organization to help us, and it ended up coming back with a really high budget amount. So that's when we decided, like, I think we can do this again internally. We can kind of go through this process. It'll take about a little over a year to do it. And so that's where this came from. And just want to acknowledge the hard work our staff has been putting into that, because it has been more work on staff to do. I do think the end product will be better, because a lot of times when we have found that when we work with consultants, it ends up being still a lot of work for us, kind of redoing things to make it kind of specific to Hillsborough. But just wanted to shout out our staff who has already been plugged into this, our ops team and our core team. So it's really been a group effort, and it's been exciting going through it. So as far as what we see success looking like, we want it to be community driven. We want it to be rooted in that listening and engaging with our partners. We want it to be data informed through the data that we collect as part of our feedback gathering process, as far as like assessing our existing services that we provide. And so just doing that kind of work to collect the data to help develop the plan. Again, like the last iteration, we want it to be realistic and actionable. So it's things that we feel like we can do rather than things that we just hope we can do. So really making sure that it's things that are within our scope to be able to do as local governments, and that we feel like given our level of resources and scale that we can accomplish. And then also making sure that it's clear, and part of that is going back to that plain language, that people understand what it's saying, that it resonates for people, it's measurable, and really focused, so that we can make sure that we're staying on track and that it's aligned across our departments, and looking at that organization-wide perspective. And so involving those, cross-departmental groups will be really helpful to achieving that. So with that, I will turn it over to Cheryl to talk through some more of the engagement piece.
So good evening, everyone. As you know, because we already started that engagement conversation, I'm going through our engagement efforts, both what we've already started and what we have planned. We will soon start to gather feedback through surveys, as Jen said, in addition to the community survey, which has additional strategic plan questions this year. We also have a survey with questions tailored for our local business owners and for our local nonprofits. And we will be sending those out, but at the end of the month and collecting them through September. As Jen said, our community survey is still a great vehicle for reaching all households because it isn't just sent to a sampling of our households. It's wonderful that we still meet that threshold for going to everyone. I think we find often people need to hear about something in more than one way. So even though you can take it online, getting that physical copy and hearing about it through our newsletter, through bill inserts, through in-person conversations, maybe we'll validate what they get in their mailbox, so make it feel like this really is from the town and that they should take the time to fill it out, as we hope that many people will. In addition to the surveys, we also, town staff plan to conduct partner interviews with our partners in Orange County departments and divisions with whom we share similar interests. And we are leading focus groups as needed in the fall.
Jack, quick question. Do we have any idea, like, the percentage of completed community surveys that we get back on average?
So
50%.
it stays open. That would like, did you say like 50% would be amazing?
Yeah.
We get, it has to be a statistically valid number, which I think for us is about 450.
Yeah, it's about 400 to meet the 95% confidence level. And we send it to almost 5,000 households.
It's usually, if you get more than a 2% of something like that, that's astounding.
Yeah. When we go to, when the communications team goes to conferences and we talk about community surveys, we blow the others away with our with our results. We have a very responsive community.
Yeah.
And I would
Which is
say,
wonderful.
I think it was when when you and I were on SWAG, for example, and there was a solid waste survey. And just from, I mean, it's not just the surveys we sent out, but we punched way above our weight relative to even Chapel Hill. We had not just statistically more respondents as a percentage, but like, it was like 50% of their responses were from Hillsborough, which was not, it was kind of putting Chapel Hill Park to shame, because the engagement wasn't there. So we just have a lot of people dialed in.
Yes.
Yeah, I do have one question, and that is on the nonprofit surveys, and we don't have to go through like a list, but it might be helpful to share with the board, any nonprofits, just in case that you're gonna be sending it out to, just in case there's something missing, or maybe the contact information's out of date, because they turn over pretty quickly.
That's a great
pretty
idea.
frequently.
We would be happy to do that. We started by creating our own list, and then JC pulled up the state's registry of nonprofits in Hillsborough. And then we also checked in with Scott to see what the chamber's list is. The more eyes on the list, the better. We don't want to leave anyone out, and we do plan to not just put it out there on the web or on social media, but to individually invite each nonprofit, because we would like one collective response per nonprofit. We'd like for them to collaborate and give us back one answer, so that we have so that each one has equal weight. Same with businesses. So we don't have like 8 responses from one business and one response from another, but have them think about it internally and get back to us. We're happy to share those with you.
What is the basis for the surveys in terms of town residents, utility customers, businesses, just in the town limits?
So for
Who
the
are we reaching?
resident survey, it is for town residents. Our community survey only goes to town residents. And because we do advertise it with the water bill, and we clarify in there that this one is for the town residents.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I missed it or not, but I saw Catherine sent us the community survey. Did we get a copy of the nonprofit survey also? I saw that.
Perhaps not yet, but I know we have it nearly finished.
Oh,
We need
alright.
a new kind of first question to kick it off, and then we can share it in our next update.
Thank
You
you.
guys, and
I just didn't know if I
we
missed
can
it or
share
not.
it with you and along with the list,
Yeah.
so that you
I
can
just
give
want-
us
yeah.
feedback if we're missing anyone.
Are the businesses brick and mortar businesses? Are they whoever's got a registered shingle? What constitutes a Hillsborough business?
The ones we can find, because there isn't like an in-town business license any longer. We don't have a master list of businesses, but we definitely want to invite all of the ones that we know of and have contact information for. And this includes our commercial real estate owners as well, like anyone with any type of business in Hillsborough. Yeah, and it is challenging because there is not a master
And
list.
that's why I know that there's other communities in North Carolina, we talked about, they don't do a privilege license, but they do a business fee, and that's how they know what businesses are in town, and it's nominal, like $5-10. But it's a fee, and that's how come they can do the demographics, they know who's who, they know what's what. I wish we did something like that, because unless you're going to the Secretary of State and doing guesswork of what has brick and mortar and what doesn't, it's gonna be the same old.
Well, we also get information from the home-based occupations or home-based businesses, because they do not need a license, so we get that information too.
But it's a different kind of population of home-based versus brick and mortar versus internet business. I mean, there's some differences there, and I get concerned of who we're missing.
Mhm.
And I'd like to make sure, because their voices count too.
We agree. It is a challenge that we're trying to work our way through. Go on to the next slide. Survey outreach. We've already talked a bit about how we're getting word out. We had a robust conversation at the July ops team meeting, keeping in mind that the operations team is the strategic plan steering committee. We came to them with our list of nonprofits and our starter lists of nonprofits and our ideas for how we would contact businesses and our ways of reaching people. And the team certainly added to it with lots of ideas. We have already begun outreach. We printed business-sized cards with a QR code that goes to I don't have any with me tonight because we brought them to Walk Fairview on Saturday, and JC took them home, and I think we both forgot he was taking a couple of days off. So they're probably in his car until Wednesday morning when he comes back. But we handed them out in the 3 communities that had National Night Out events last Tuesday and at Walk Fairview Day. Just to go ahead, because again, I think it helps for residents at least to get that reassurance that we are really surveying them and we really want their response. In addition, you are going to see yard signs around town with QR codes. And we will be at community events in the early fall We will be creating a very short community focused video. And we will have lots of social media posts and reach out to our community contacts. As we do have quite a few community contacts for our town too. We've been trying to collect one for every street in town. We're not quite there yet, but we do have quite a list.
Cheryl, I did see your request.
For the video?
Video, so I responded.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And can you refer back to you said the ops team is the steering committee for,
The strategic plan development.
could I make a suggestion? Unless it's already part of that, I know it's the ops team, but I think it would be good if the mayor and mayor pro tem were part of that steering committee. Just to represent us and give an elected perspective on anything that needs feedback on or whatnot.
I'll talk to Eric about that.
Just as appropriate or as needed, because
Thank you for that suggestion. Thank you.
don't want to create more work for you, but.
Great. I have one more slide and the next part is engaging with you all. So appropriate suggestion at that moment. I skipped a slide. How do I go back a slide? Back one. Communicating with our board. We plan to set the strategic plan core team, of which I'm a part, and of course, Jen is a part, plans to send you a monthly update. Most often it will probably come from Jen. And we also plan to come back to you several times throughout the process. And we can certainly talk about more ways to engage with you in the process as well. And now I believe I turned it over to Jen for that.
So in those monthly emails will really be highlighting what we did the previous month and then kind of what's to come, so that you can stay plugged into where we've been and where we're going, and you can share any feedback that you have. So just wanted to kind of open it up for feedback, but first really thinking through getting some, if you have thoughts on what would make this process successful for you in terms of the strategic plan development.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate the presentation, the very thoughtful approach, as always. And I think that, the results, the high scores from our previous surveys bear that out, that we perform very well. And I think we improve year over year in how we survey and the results we get. So thank you in advance for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Meg, do you have any questions?
No, not at this time.
Rob?
I don't have any questions, but again, thank you for all the work you've done so far in this, and I'm excited to see the progress and the product.
Yeah.
I have no questions. Like, since folks skipped the first question, which is just like, what would make this successful? I think
Yeah.
that kind of the two markers I'm gonna be looking at is just having that good community engagement and feedback and participation, I think would be a marker of success, because we can say with some certainty that the community's been asked, they've been involved, we know how they feel and what's important to them. But I think the other marker of success, I think, is something that you kind of referred to earlier, which is having these robust goals, which are really important, and core concepts and whatnot, but that the initiatives that bolster those are, that we're setting ourselves up for success, that the strategic plan isn't so easy that we tick all those boxes and we say, oh, we did everything we set out to do, but it isn't so hard that things aren't attainable. And some of those goals and initiatives might be reach initiatives, like they'll push us beyond maybe what we're comfortable with, or they definitely might require new skills or something, but that they're still attainable, they're still realistic. Because I think that's also important for us to be able to go back to the community and say, hey, we had these really substantial reach goals that we met. Maybe they couldn't occur in the right order or the timeline we envisioned, but they were still, you know, within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful and totally agree. Ensuring that it's challenging, but also attainable and that we have those resources in place to make sure that we can accomplish them.
Thank you, Matt. Kathleen?
I have my questions.
Well, thank you, Jen. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you. We'll look for our next update and we'll also send you the list of nonprofits as well as those surveys. But thank you. If you have any other feedback or thoughts, definitely feel free to email us at any time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
On to item B, hot topics for the work session on August 24th. We got code enforcement, demolition ordinances and housing strategy. Eric, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, I think that's it.
And we're on to number 7, updates, starting with board members. Matt, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Of course, we haven't been here since June, so I feel like a lot has happened. I will say first, kudos to Matt and our town staff for the America 250 event. I think that it was a big success, but I also know it was very logistically challenging and other things. But you know, the fact that I had people ask me if this is going to be an annual event, I think speaks volumes to what people got out of it. But it was great to see the community come together. And then the other update that I think is perhaps most relevant, because most of my boards also take off the summer, as I'm sure some of y'all's do as well, is that a few months ago, we had some really good conversations with Royal Hillsborough, Northern Ireland, about ways to do some cultural exchanges and some things. Their national government gives them a lot more money to do that kind of thing. But they did reach out last month and Shannon was able to help get a letter of support, and I reached out to the Alliance as well as the Visitors Bureau for a letter of support for a U.S. State Department grant that they're applying for that would help solidify some of these tourist and cultural ties. They asked if we would be going on. There's apparently some sort of North Carolina Department of Commerce trip in September to that region of Northern Ireland. And we were like, we don't know anything about that. We don't have budget to book tickets, especially with how our budget looked for this fiscal year. But it's kind of great to be able to make that linkage. And you know, they have different components of the community over there have been looking at our Hillsborough in connection to America 250, but then also taking it a step further than that, which I think if it all comes together will be really good. But they've been wanting a specific connection with us compared to the other Hillsboroughs in the US, because there's not many that have a direct linkage. And so it was really cool to be able to help push that forward. And we'll see how their grant is evaluated by the State Department. And hopefully there'll be some really cool things that come out of that relationship.
Yeah, they used to have funding for sister cities, and I would think that would be a perfect opportunity for sister cities.
Yeah, Scott has some experience with sister cities from his time in Wilmington, that he provided some really good feedback to the mayor and myself about how to approach that to make it successful. Because I think there were some ways in which communities are very excited for that, but then they don't have like the appropriate charter and agreements, community agreements to make it really work. And so I thought he was going to be the wet blanket brigade on that, because I also suggested sister cities. But, you know, one of the things he really harkened back to was that experience and just really having a solid plan and sufficient buy-in to make it work.
No, I used to be involved with Sister City when I lived in Iowa, and I mean, it was an amazing opportunity for community connections.
And we have a really good resource on that point. The former board chair of Sister Cities International lives in Durham. And so we have a really good resource too to make that work if it.
I hope so, because I've always thought we should have the sister cities. I miss that part that I haven't been involved in, and I think Hillsboro's got such rich history and diversity of our community. I mean, we're.
And one of the proposals in the grant is for us to host a delegation from Royal Hillsborough, Northern Ireland, sometime in the next 12 to 18 months if it gets approved.
Cool.
Yeah, Kathleen?
There's a lot going. So I sent around NLC. So today was data center. It didn't actually cover much more than what we've already talked about. And actually what Mike Turner shared was head and shoulders more. But it was useful. Tomorrow is housing. I signed up for a third one that now I didn't take my notes, but I sent you guys about that. For the partnership, NOFA was released, court stepped in, NOFA is stopped. So the saga continues there. And then, yeah, we had no meetings for Central Pines. October is the next national board meeting, and that will be in California. So I'll be out. It's like I think it's going to end up being our workshop. It might be between. I have to remember. I'm blanking out on those dates. The Chambers Gala, if y'all haven't seen, September 12th. Those tickets are out. Unfortunately, that was the weekend, the only weekend I could get my Land of Oz tickets. So I'd already gotten my Land of Oz. So 3 weekends a year, you can go to Land of Oz. But that's about all I've got right now. I did get to do National Night Out. I was not able to do Fairview, but Fairview knew about that at the time. That's it.
Okay, thank you. So my two assignments did not meet since we last spoke in June. But I've had quite the list of activities since then. And I guess the main ones to mention are the kind of the prep work lead up to the July 4th event, and then work with staff and others for that event. So for those who couldn't make it, who were flying Machu Picchu and were unable to be here, it was a great event. And yeah, and I'm reminded how hot it is. Oh my gosh, that was. I read somewhere it was like in your Matt's email that it was like 102.5 degrees.
I didn't know what it was, but it was bloody hot.
That reminded me why we don't do July 4th. Anyway, that was a great one time.
I could have even found it in like October.
Then you get snowstorms.
I had quite a few ribbon cuttings and other ceremonial duties to get to the details of, but more recently attended the Fairview meeting, Kathleen, on last week on the 3rd. And the Arts Mill reopening, for those of you who were able to make that was amazing. My face hurt. I was smiling so much. First 2 hours, that was amazing. And then of course the Walt Fairview Day, this past Saturday, was great. I thought there was a much larger turnout than usual there, and the weather was perfect. So that was nice. And I'll just add on to Matt's comments about the Royal Hillsborough thing. Yeah, we've had several conversations with them, and if anybody has any questions, Shannon is running point. on that so that we're all communicating with one person, and then hopefully they will assign one person and the communication will, you know, be efficient that way. And I'm planning to, speak in the near future with Counselor Brian Higginson, who serves as the mayor of the larger governmental body. Royal Hillsborough is our small part of that, but, so I look forward to introducing my son to him. Have a conversation. And that's all I have.
Okay, well, since our last meeting, I have not really been in Hillsborough or North Carolina this month, so not a whole lot of updates. But
I said, I know the feeling.
yeah,
I'm on the road a lot.
so not many updates in regards to my assignments. The one event that I have been helping to bring together on the committee is the Hillsborough Chamber is putting together the nonprofit impact study or summit. And those of you connected with nonprofits, it's a day that there will be 5 different sessions for to help nonprofits with fundraising, grants, board management, budgeting, working on their bylaws, and then also a keynote speaker talking about storytelling and how to improve all the
Are you
nonprofits.
working with NC Serve nonprofits or ESC's board school? I call it board school, but ESC does every year. Board
Yeah,
Executive Service Corps,
yes,
They-
yes. I was gonna say, like, the acronym sounded familiar, but yes.
because I
We've got-
have, for their board school, I have their materials.
So we actually have one of the speakers was on their board.
Okay,
And since he's rolled off their board, he is one of their advisors also, so he's doing our policies and board management, I believe.
who is it?
Steve Spokane.
Okay, he actually, when I went through that, he was involved in that.
Yeah,
That was the few years ago.
And when is the?
so the event is September 30th. It is 9 till 3. It's at the Whitted Building. The early bird ticketing is now until the 15th of September.
Or is this for what?
It's the nonprofit impact summit that the Hillsborough Chamber is putting together. So, you know, just a day where a lot of nonprofits might be starting up, or if they even have been around for a while, there's probably something they can get from the summit. So just wanted to get that information out to everybody.
Yes, and I know I sent that to both the Alliance and Burwell.
Yeah.
And I know Burwell for sure is going to participate, so, and they have almost all new staff.
Yeah, we actually have reached out to the Burwells to see if one of the board members would be a speaker, but she was not able to, but yeah, so, and then Amanda Boyd is also on this committee putting this together, so, yeah. So yeah, it should be it's coming together, it's a good event. Hopefully,
Yeah,
the first time though too, so.
if folks don't get to, it used to be, and I don't know if Blue Cross Blue Shield still funds it, but ESCs, it's 6 sessions for executive directors and board members. They encourage one of each. It ends up being, you know, put like couple hundred bucks up front, but you get a stack if you attend all, but it's well worth it.
Mhm.
And it's all on rules of meetings with their boards and board 101.
Yeah, exactly, and it was an organization that I had not known much about before starting to plan this, and it really does seem like a good resource and then having Steve be one of the speakers,
He's really good.
he could hopefully, you know, help people find other avenues of education after this event.
Yeah, I'm sure you're talking about the NC Center of Nonprofit.
Yeah.
Duke's got it, one, there's one,
Duke one closed.
it did close?
Yes,
Dang.
it's done.
And then
As
there's,
of this year. Yeah, if you hadn't started, then you weren't able to get any more classes, and if you had started, they wanted you done by January or December of this year.
and then there's one other besides NC Center, and I can't remember what it is. But I've been sharing from the ESC, I had permission to share, so I've been sharing their materials for the last several years.
Yeah, I'm excited
really
about
good
the,
about
that presentation. And then also I'll be, I signed up also for the Road to Housing, but, seminar tomorrow.
I hope it's good.
Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
Awesome. Rob?
I don't have a whole lot. I would like to again thank Matt and all the staff from the town of Hillsborough that provided planning and staffing for the A250 event. It was a great event. It was nice to see just the diversity of events and activities, and to have a whole day event here. The feedback that I've gotten from people that attended was all very positive, and it was coordinated well and planned well, and other than the heat, it was a fantastic event, so. And I'm telling them, no, that was a one-time, one and done event, and maybe another 250 years, but will not be named over that. I'm not kidding. Good work, and I don't know if we have, and I don't know if we want to, but I was thinking possibly if we wanted to recognize the Greg and Mayor Tom for their work on that. Is that something that?
And Katie.
That has been contemplated.
And we can talk more about it or whatever too, but I think it would be good to just let them know how much we appreciate them taking that on and pulling it off, and that it was successful from our eyes. I did attend the Walk Fairview event last weekend. It was a great event. And it was just good to hear some of the projects and the visions that the interns are working on. I definitely think that we can help them kind of reach some of their goals. And some of it, I think, specifically I'm talking about their like soccer goal thing with Orange County. It sounds like it's just more of a communication thing that is kind of could be worked out with they're talking to the right people in the county. But I encourage them to reach out to talk more about that. Yeah, and that's all I got.
I'm wondering on that, if that might be something actually as a board that we might be able to, with the county board. I know informal conversations, reception's been iffy. It's just different priorities at the county level than our level, but I'm wondering if there's some way that we maybe as a board can take an official stand to support the community desires with the county board, because it
Yes.
just doesn't seem to be.
So, Chair Hamilton was there on Saturday and two commissioners were there as well. And I asked kind of the larger picture of Kevin Griff about funding up at least, I think, 5 potential grant funding. So I think those need to play out maybe the rest of this year,
Okay.
but early next year, it might make sense to figure out what's their viability going forward, because as we all know, that program is one of the most awesome things about Hillsborough. And we picked up all the funding this current year, and then most of them have it last year. And there are quite a few people involved in Fairview Community Watch and all their programs for county residents. They're not town residents. So it'd be
Exactly.
nice for the county to pick up a share of that, because they obviously see the same value that we do. That's why they participate.
Well, in fact, county picked up when Fairview initiated the summer interns. And they turned that into a county program. So that was several years ago.
Yeah. And there could be,
Yeah.
speaking of, there could be in-kind contributions they're already making
Uh-huh.
that aren't,
Yeah.
necessarily visible to us, but.
But I do know that in the conversations I had specifically about soccer over pickleball and tennis. There hadn't, at that time, and the last one was probably about 5 months ago, maybe 6 months, 5 months. There was not a consensus support for soccer. So that's why I'm thinking that maybe we keep an eye on as a board that we stand behind the Fairview community in what they're asking.
I will be speaking to the Fairview Community Watch probably in October, maybe November.
Right, yeah.
And that'll be kind of one of the main points that we'll discuss with them is to be transparent about where we are with the funding and to, leave no stone unturned.
Well, even in funding, but beyond funding, it's just for county money and county, it's part of the
I'm
county
just-
plan
I'm
too.
including the county strategy, what
Yeah, of-
this body may want to do. Right, anything else? Any more updates, Eric?
No,
No, okay. I will entertain a motion to go into closed session, is authorized in North Carolina General Assembly to consult the town attorney to preserve attorney-client privilege. Thank you. Was there a second?
Yeah.
Second, Matt, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll take maybe 5 minutes and then we'll get close up.
Bigger, we'll have to get you on the call.
they're gonna do very good, okay.